Wow. Okay, power. All right. This is part 2, and we got Mariah versus older Mariah this time versus Amon. Nice. Wow. It's really hard when the audio is that bad. Sometimes a lot of this going in between pitches stuff can be a little difficult to and like it doesn't sound as good as it did live or if it were good audio. That's for sure. However, these the whistle notes in between a little bit not perfect necessarily, which is kind of silly, but silly to say, right? Considering like that was amazing. But this glissando going up is really cool. Check this out. This stuff is not easy. It's not much of a stop in between the glissando. Okay, so I'm giving props here to Amon for the glissando, but there's 2 whistles in between are a little rough. Let's look again at the Mariah one. He also kind of goes up on the glissando. Okay, well, that's also not so great audio, but those whistles are perfect. So now this is a part 2 of another a video I did. Link to the part 1 down below. In part 1, Mariah barely took it. She is starting with that lead, so we got to give it 6-4, not to be confused with 6-4 time. Music joke right there. All right, okay, we'll get to this silliness, all right? And now we're on round 2. I'll listen to these again. Really nice, airy, lilty, a lot of control, just the pianissimo of it, really good. It's beautiful. There's this one little moment where it's just it's like a cent flat. A cent is a 100th of a pitch. No, I know it's ridiculous. Okay, but like this is how much we have to split hairs. She adjusts it like really quickly. She fixes it almost immediately. Right here, that's a little off. She fixes it. She fixes it so fast, it's almost hard to hear it. Yeah, she fixes it. Like that's so that might just be like a cent. Probably most people wouldn't even hear that as flat, even if they listen to it 100 times. But it's just a tiny bit flat. It's almost imperceptible. Okay, but that was 2. Okay, well we can't, so we can't go based on intonation because they both went flat. Again, just the tiniest bit. And this audio is really, really bad, so that makes it sound worse than it is. I'm gonna have to give it to Mariah. At the end of the day, the control, as amazing as that is, as incredible as Amon was there, as incredible as that whole sequence was, the control that Mariah demonstrates, it's just a touch bit of a higher caliber. I feel like such a jerk. Like these singers are amazing. Can't do any of this crap. But at the end of the day, you know, we're talking about legends. Mariah pulling ahead. Mariah also started strong in the last video, and Amon tended to kind of creep up and take over, so we'll see. What? What? Oh. That's insane. We'll get into why this is ridiculous, aside from the obvious, but let's get into Amon. What? That's just absurd. We have a competition on our hands right now. On one hand, Mariah goes into the stratosphere. Like, I almost don't even hear that anymore because I'm so old. I'm losing that part of my hearing range. That's so obscenely high. That might literally be off the piano. That's so high. Boop, boop, boop. Oh, so high. Now with them on here, we got... Jeez. I think that in terms of the phrasing, Mariah's is more elegant. But I also think she's trying to do da 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 da, and that marcato, that's actually really, really challenging. To put an attack in front of that, that's nuts. When you put an attack on a note, you're doing a glottal. At least she's changing the dynamics. She's using her thyroid cartilage. That's why. When you, that's brilliant. This is not abnormal when you do a run, and larger voices are particularly guilty of this in opera. So opera singers, and well, anyone in general, when you want to do a run, you want to have an attack of some sort, or just a way to change the pitch. Otherwise, it sounds like mush. Opera singers, to change the note with an attack, we use that thyroid cartilage tilt a lot. That gives us that. It doesn't do that necessarily. Okay, so Mariah's using aspirates and onsets for the attack. And then Amon's using the tilt. Both have their challenges. I think just because Mariah's goes off the piano, which is, you know, kind of insane, I think I give this one to Mariah, but I don't want people to sleep on how hard it is what Amon is doing. And let me explain why. It's insane. Again, we went over this a little bit in the last video, but when you do a whistle, you can't just have normal vocal closure like that. You need this little spot at the top here near the arytenoid cartilage that comes into a little bit of a ball, and that needs to be done kind of like this, where there's this little whistle sound, and then it's not quite closed because it's almost like a falsetto, but there's this little opening, and that gives us a, so when you have that and you're tilting the thyroid cartilage down this way, which is what that is, that stretches the vocal folds and also increases their power. Because it stretches, this thing right here where you're supposed to have just a little bit of an opening, and you're not supposed to have it too open because then it's just falsetto. Get that whistle quality where it's like this. Now I stretch this, look what happens. All of a sudden the pitch changes and all this shenanigans happen. So you have to be really, really, really precise. The reason that tilt increases the volume because that tautness, that stretchingness, right? There's a little bit more breath pressure that has to go through to get the folds to open. So that creates that increase in sound pressure level, SPL, which is literally volume. At the same time, when Amon does those attacks with the thyroid cartilage, the pitch is not totally perfect, but that's kind of just going to happen. Still completely insane to do that, though. While I do give this to Mariah, man, like just to be able to do like going off the piano is pretty crazy. Normally, it's normally when there's like it's a higher note. We're dealing with insanely high notes. So to me, that has a bit of diminishing returns. So I can't just usually give it because of just, that's a higher note. At the same time, that's off the piano. That's absurd. I don't even know what note that is. This one was close. Might give them on like 500 cool points. It won't win her the grudge match, but that's really something else. What a sound. Wow. That's the thing with Amon, the voice, the quality of the voice. Her voice is so beautiful. And you can't, like, technique obviously helps. Bad technique doesn't sound good. But good technique doesn't give you a beautiful voice off of the get-go. That's just such a beautiful sound. Not that Mariah's sound isn't beautiful. I do think Mariah's sound is beautiful. But it's inherently different, right? Mariah can't get that round sound because of the nodules. A lot of you might say that that's going flat. Now, ordinarily, I would agree with you, but pitch is relative because if the orchestra or who you're tuning with is flat, you have to adjust in order to harmonize on these longer notes. Take a listen. She gets right on pitch at the very end of it. For some reason, it doesn't come across to me as egregious as some of the other pitch issues. Because I think the piano is a little off as well. It was flat. The sound is so tremendous, and I almost kind of like it. I don't know if that's like if it's on the 9th of the chord or whatever, but I kind of like it. Anyway. What do you even do to that? Like, what? That's just ridiculous. Oh man, I'm torn here because I think like tone wise, there's something nice about this one right before the C7, but just stupendous control from Mariah. I mean, that's just ridiculous. It's like a bird. It's like a bird. She could be outside my window, waking me up in the morning, and I'd be like, first of all, sign my autograph, please. And then second, wake up and I'd be like, yeah, I'm cool with that. That can wake me up. I'm fine. Depends. Mariah, please do not come to my window at 5 a.m., okay? Getting older, I get cranky. Yeah, geez, just because we're talking about whistling, we're talking about, the who's better at whistling, I think this one has to go to Mariah. But I am upset with Mariah because someone is saying this in the chat. It seems like every time Mariah destroys our brains a little bit, she's smiling while she's doing it. She's just like happy with brain splatter, blowing our minds. Blowing our minds, doesn't even care. This looks like a blowout, but it's not. It's been incredibly close. And some of the whistles, I think, in the one, which would do, they were just better. These are close.